Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Making 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto Rewrote the Past. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was an alien hybrid over an enemy king. And enjoy that guys. And also, I post a brand new episode over on Anime King 3 of What If Naruto Was a Perfect Experiment. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And remember, if this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy videos on both Anime King and Making 2 and Making 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you all for your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last part we left off as Mikoto saw that Naruto was acting strange when Minato mentioned the mission. So after Minato was gone, she spoke to him about it, as he told her what to remember from his time, as she was surprised to hear that Obito had died on this mission. And this is the reason why Kakashi went down in this spiral, as Naruto was gonna do all that he could to make sure that they survive this one. So with that, the team headed on their mission, as Minato had some suspicions about Naruto, but now it was confirmed, as he spoke about it. Who could say that their son was their best friend? As he and Naruto spoke, things that Kushina said in the past now made a lot more sense. Afterwards, the both of them made their way, seeing that Naruto no longer had to pretend like he didn't know the Harashin. The group was able to decimate the force on the bridge as they ended rather quickly. With that, they arrived to Konoha only to get some sad news. It turns out that Kagami had died, as Naruto was saddened to hear that, as he was saddened for his wife Mikoto. Some time passed afterwards. Things were getting back to normal, but there was another relapse once she had attended the funeral, but Naruto was there for her to make sure that she was okay and alright. And just like that, things proceeded. It was coming to the end of the Third Great Shinobi War, as everyone was on the battlefield, as Naruto and his group was able to push through the forces as they had their hidden alliance with Kumo, after Naruto had showed them that it would be best that if they got an alliance because Minato and him were forced to be reckoned with. As Minato used his famous technique the Harashin as he decimated the stone forces, he was a monster in the battlefield as he took them out swift and quick. Afterwards he fell as he was exhausted, as with that, the Kumo force were able to make their way to penetrate the stone line. As Minato saw something as he screamed for Naruto to watch out, but it was too late, as Naruto was sucked away in the swirling vortex. As Naruto found himself in a strange dimension, in front of the masked man, as Naruto called him Tobi, but the man did not know who was that. As the man removed his mask to show a younger face of Madara Uchiha, as Naruto was surprised to see him here, as one of his eyes were closed though, as Naruto didn't understand what was going on, as Madara realized that Naruto was different, as he was foiling some of his plans that he had put into motion and changing up things. He didn't know how long time went on for here, as he never left someone here for too long. But for now, he was gonna leave Naruto in here, as he was free to explore as far as he wanted. So with that, he left Naruto in his space-time dimension. As he left, without the blonde ruining his plans, he got to work. So yeah guys, so basically as well left off, you guys can switch across the place for yourself, and yeah, remember to go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King of What If Naruto Was an Alien Hybrid, and enjoy that guys. And over on Anime King 3, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Perfect Experiment, so go ahead and enjoy that as well guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is we begin this right now. It has been 1 week since Naruto has been locked away. Mikoto squinted as she looked up at the sky, trying to gauge the time of day. She had agreed to meet Kushina here for some light sparring, to keep her mind off things. Minato had returned 4 days ago, bringing with him both good news and bad. The good news was the war was officially ended, and they didn't have to wipe out the entire army if they didn't to do so. The bad news was, it took a moment for Minato to even work up the courage to say it to her, but she could easily see how tense he was, and the way he was looking at her, a feeling of dread settled in her stomach. Naruto, he's not dead as far as we know, but he's missing. I'm sorry, Mikoto. A part of her dread had switched to confusion, as she didn't understand how someone like Naruto could go missing. But Minato had shook his head, sorrow on his features. I don't know how to explain it. One moment he was there in front of me, after successfully helping me with the Harashin. The next moment there was someone behind him wearing a black cloak and a mask I did not recognize. I warned him to watch out, but the ear rippled, and Naruto was pulled away, along with the masked guy, and the both of them just vanished, and I couldn't sense them anywhere. The dread had returned back full force. Naruto had explained the techniques that he knew of the Tobe character from his future, and what Minato said matched up completely. No one else had the Mangekyou currently, so none would be able to enter the space-time dimension where Naruto was likely being held prisoner. It was only a small comfort that her husband was still alive, but there was no telling whenever she would see him again. Both Minato and Kushina tried to comfort her for the past several days, but it was clear that they were also fighting their own feelings on how they felt about the loss of Naruto. The three of them, and Hiruzen and Sakumo, had tried their best to keep Naruto's disappearance on the down low, but it was only a matter of time before people started to ask questions. The Uchiha clan already began to pester her. After all, even if he was on an assignment as the second person to take over the clan, in case something happened to her, they had the right to know his whereabouts, to send backup if needed. Watch out! The noise of metal slammed against metal shook her from her thoughts, as she turned towards her right-ear friend, who was glaring towards someone. Her eyes focused on the man that was standing at a safe distance. He was draped in a black cloak, shaggy black hair that was longer than her own, blood-red mask that was white on top, with one eye hole. Who are you? How did you get here? Kushina shouted. Oh, no one important. I thought it would be nice of me to bring back someone I needed to borrow at the end of the war. Mikoto squelched the hope that rise up in her. To get Naruto back would be amazing, but if this man was gonna willingly give him back, what was the condition that he was in? Before any of them could say anything, there was a rippling sensation in front of the masked man, just like what Minato described. To their amazement, Naruto appeared right there from nothingness. Her husband didn't seem to be any worse for wear, other than a few dirty spots on his clothing. However, he was already tumbling forward and shielded his face as he squinted. Wherever he was being held was probably dark. As the both of them moved forward, but the masked man spoke. Unfortunately for you, I didn't say what kind of condition I would leave him in. Mikoto's eyes went wide as a blade ripped through Naruto's chest and stick out from the front, right where his heart was. Her eyes glanced up towards his, as his bright blue eyes looked towards her in confusion and pain. It felt like an eternity passed in that 1 single second, as his body fell forward and he collapsed. She stood there helpless, as she watched as the sword was released by the masked man. Her mind tried to process a million thoughts in a single second, as she watched her husband got killed right in front of her. Her mind barely registered as Kushina screamed and rushed forward, screaming out Naruto's name. She wanted to do the same herself, believe that he wasn't dead, just merely injured. However, she couldn't tear her eyes away from the man wearing the mask as he looked down towards Naruto. Well, the blade certainly served its purpose, but I still prefer a battle fan, the man said. Perhaps it was the way that he spoke or the smugness that was dripping from him as he spoke. Something inside of her snapped. Time itself seemed to stop as the masked man looked up towards her. For that man to so casually discard everything that she fought for, everything she wanted, everything that she loved. There was immense pressure behind her eyes. A tickling sensation started to trail on her cheek. A word started to repeat over and over in her mind. Before she could comprehend exactly what the word was, she found herself saying it. Susanoo! Kushina stopped charging as she saw a huge purple thing appear in her best friend. She wasn't sure what it was, but the chakra that formed the thing created a skeleton around her, which was like nothing she has ever seen before. Mikoto had shouted the word Susanoo, apparently the name of this new technique. Strangely, Kushina has never seen her best friend perform this until now, but she was aware of rumors that Sharingan had different stages. Whatever it was, the chakra from her best friend was increasing, but it felt dark, tainted. The purple skeleton moved as it swung a sword downwards. It didn't impact the ground, but it forced the masked man to move backwards so he wouldn't be hit. Kushina! As Kushina snapped her head towards Mikoto, realizing that she was calling her name. As she turned towards her, Get Naruto out of here, please. As Kushina heard Mikoto's voice break when she said Naruto's name, as she rushed forward, as she felt tears gather in her eyes. But she fight them back and picked the blonde up, moving her arms on their shoulder blades and knees. As she tried not to look at the sword in his chest as she moved over to the far side of the clearing. She kept eyeing the masked man, but he was not focused on her. He was more focused on what Mikoto was doing. The Suno was no longer a skeleton. It had a face that was grimacing. The sword was imbued with black flames on it. Mikoto yelled and moved forward, but Kushina set Naruto down slowly. The sword was still inside of him. Unfortunately, she was afraid to move it. It might cause him more damage. As she searched for a heartbeat. Kurama, can you think of or do anything? Lift up his shirt and place her hand against the seal on his stomach. If his chakra network is somehow still active, I may be able to somehow sustain him until a minute gets here. She didn't need to be told twice. She lifted up his shirt, removing. As she placed her hand down, as she started to pump her own and Kurama's chakra. At first, there was a spark of hope as a seal appeared in his stomach. She wasn't able to tell what Kurama was doing, but as seconds turned into a minute and then two, despair started to set in. She heard the masked man and Mikoto yelled at each other, but her mind was focused on Naruto. It was when the Nine-Tails then spoke again, but the world seemed to just pause around her. I'm sorry, Kushina. There's nothing I can do. Believe me, I wish I could. I've only wished for three things in my life. That the old man didn't have to die. That I could be free from my prison, not be used as a tool. And now for this not to happen. The broken voice of Kurama said as he watched his best friend. It was then that Kushina heard footsteps, as a voice spoke up behind her. What's going on here? Meanwhile, with Naruto, he blinked. Well, at least he thought that he blinked, as he was surrounded by complete darkness. There wasn't any light as far as he could see. Looking down, as he couldn't see himself, there was no light source. It was like Madara's dimension, where he was trapped in. There was no pillars, nothing. It was a total void of darkness. He wasn't even sure that he was standing on something. As he tried to assess the situation as he replayed his most recent memories in his mind, he was hit with a sharp pain as he remembered his final moments. One moment he was exhausted and tired, but in Madara's world he could not sleep. There was no way to tell how much time had passed in that place. It felt like an eternity. It was like something was giving him the energy to stay awake, but at the same time making sleep impossible. It was maddening, and if he was stuck in there any longer, he would have truly went mad before long. When he felt the reality being twisted, he was excited to get the hell out of there, despite where it was going to put him. The first thing he saw was the light, and it was so much brighter, as he had to shield his eyes. Then he took focus, and he saw Mikoto, as he then heard Madara's voice. It was then that he felt something going through his chest. He heard screams of panic, as he had looked down to see a sword sticking out of his chest. Darkness started to seep from the corner of his vision, and before long he could not find the engine to stay awake anymore. His eyes had closed completely at some point, but his mind was fuzzy on exactly when it was closed. In actuality, it felt like he just closed his eyes for a brief moment, and then he opened them back and knew he was here. As he wondered what to do now, he heard a faint laughter. As he turned to see a faint light off in the distance, it was impossible to tell how far it was. But looking around one more time, he could not see anything except for that faint light. As he took a step forward, followed by another, as he made his way towards the light, as his mind started to wonder, what if this was what people refer to when they were dead and they said that they walked towards the light? He started to ponder more, as the one light that he saw became two, and then it became several more after that. By the time he got close enough to identify the lights, he knew his eyes must be playing tricks on him. The scene was confusing. Many things was wrong, like someone did this on purpose to mess him up. The worst part of it all was the two people sitting at the table, as the both of them smiled at him. waiting for him to talk first, as he realized they weren't going to say anything. So he spoke. Minato, Kushina. What are you two doing here? He said. Meanwhile, Mikoto screaming in frustration as her Amaterasu blade ripped right through the masked man's body like he wasn't even there. It was like she was cut in ear. Well, for being the current leader of the clan, I must admit, I was expecting more than this. She knew deep down he was just goading her on, but at this point she did not care. There was only one objective on her mind right now, and it was to see this man die, even if she died along the way he was going down. Her thoughts turned to Itachi and her friends. She knew that Kushina and Minato would raise Itachi well, and they would certainly get help from the clan. But the monster in front of her had to die, because if he did not, no one would be safe. Naruto's passion to see this man dead to save everyone had been cemented in her long time ago. He never directly asked her to help him, but he was so passionate about it. Especially after hearing the horror stories of his time, she got swept up in it as well. As she didn't want to die, but judging by the hard time that she was having so far, it was unlikely that she would make it through this in one piece. The Uchiha matriarch was a realist. It was one of the few things that Naruto loved about her. Thoughts of her recently deceased husband reignite the rage as she felt it burst in her veins. That's better, come now, let us dance. She tried to lay a Montelier genjutsu on the area, but against her opponent, she had no idea if it would work. She sent another bolt of black fire, but this time he dodged, instead of making it go right through him. As he pulled out a battle fan, as he swinged at her, she swung her blade. To her surprise, her blade was knocked back. He chuckled as he glided down to the ground. Do you know who I am, woman? Mikoto planted. As she glared at the man, her cheeks were itching as she wiped at them, only to see her hand bloody. I think it's fairly obvious who you are, bastard. To her displeasure, he simply reached up and tossed off the mask. Well, since I'm guessing the dead blonde told everyone who I am at this point, there's no reason to hide my face anymore. It's much earlier than I planned, but I guess I am going to start today by killing you and send the Uchiha clan into disarray. Mikoto continued to glare at Madara. Konoha is much stronger than just the Uchihas. He leaped forward, surprising her by getting straight into her guard as he smashed the fan against Susanoo's chest. She yelped in pain as it felt like she got hit in the chest as well, as she was knocked right into a tree. You gave that village too much credit. It's nothing but a shadow of its once brief, great existence. Hoshirama diluted his power as he elevated the status of every other village out there. As Madara moved forward as she got back to her feet, her Susanoo flaring around her once again. Perhaps I'll give you one chance, impress me enough, and allow you to join my side on the conquest for permanent peace. I would never follow you, not in a million years, she said. Your peace is meaningless because no one would ever have free will. She wasn't sure, but it sounded like he growled as he rushed towards her. Meanwhile, as Naruto watched the two in front of him, as they looked at each other like they were having a mental conversation before one of them rose. Well, I can't say I recall any other child calling their parents by their name in such a manner, but if it's what they're comfortable with, I'll let it slide. As the redhead tilted her head to the side with a slight smile, the way she was standing looking at him, combined with the clothing that she was wearing. Mom? As she nodded, as she opened her arms, it only took a second as he moved forward, as he embraced her in a hug. As much as he tried to stop them, he could feel the tears working its way down. A sniff from him caused his mother to chuckle. Are you really gonna cry? She said. It's not like it's been that long since you saw me, you know? As Naruto's eyes went wide as he stepped back. Wait, aren't you? If you're my mother, then what your mother mean, Naruto, is that we are your original parents from your original timeline. As Naruto looked back in from between them, as he looked slightly older. But how? He said. We aren't sure either, said Kushina. We can't remember anything before arriving right here. Strangely, it doesn't feel like that long since we saw each other. It feels like a moment since. I was trying to help you take control of the Kyuubi. As she moved back to her own chair and gestured for him to sit down as well, as there was an empty chair waiting on him. As he moved and sat down, as he saw through the window of the walls, Konoha on a sunny day. All that was missing was the wall from where he entered. Looking behind him, he saw the pitch black darkness. So, are you too aware of how I got here? A somber mood adopted immediately. As they nodded, you were killed. As best as we can tell, said Minato. I don't know how, but we were given a third-person view of the most of the major event in her life, up until now. As Kushina nodded, as Naruto realized she had a hard time keeping a straight face. As he glanced towards her, Mikoto? Naruto, really? She said. Even though they were married for a while, Naruto felt a blush creeping on his face as he scratched the back of his head. Hey now, it just sort of happened. I honestly wasn't trying to... He stopped talking as she started to laugh, as Minato watches seeing that amused look. I think that she's very happy for the both of you, but she doesn't quite know how to express that. Kushina hummed as Minato continued. But it's quite different. The Mikoto I know, that was on my genuine team, ended up with Fukaku, but this one is a lot happier. With you. Really? Said Naruto, as both of them nodded with a smile on their faces, as Kushina was one to answer him. Thank you for saving my best friend, Naruto. My Mikoto only had flashes of happiness, and that was mostly when it was her and Itachi. It was wonderful to see that I did not lose my friend this time. He wasn't sure what to say, instead he just returned back to smile. In reality, he wasn't sure what to say at all. His death was so sudden, and he was still trying to piece it together. As something fluttered by the window, as his eyes snapped over towards it, and turned towards the door. As Naruto heard Minato spoke, what is it? I was just wondering, there's a window and door on that wall, but two other doors from this room are missing, not to mention the entire wall that I entered in. As the both of them share a look, as Kushina spoke, you don't want to go through that door, Naruto, she said. What? Why? Her mouth opened and closed a few times, as her face went through a lot of emotions. What I think your mother is trying to say and feel at, said Minato, is that we both know and yet don't know what is behind the door. It has a strong sense of familiarity, but at the same time I don't know what is beyond there. All I do know is, when I woke up here, I had this strong urge to keep you from entering. He's right, Naruto, said Kushina. We discussed this briefly, but as far as we can tell, we're here to stop you from going any further yet. The only thing we don't know yet is why. Meanwhile, as Kushina glanced up towards the man, he had red hair and his eyes. His eyes were rumors that she had heard from the past. But this was no time for guessing. Who are you, she said. His unique eyes shifted towards the body. I was one of Jiraiya Sensei's first students, though I understand he hadn't told any one of us, except for his old teammates. He got me to come here by telling me a rather fantastic story, and also some facts that I truly had to see to believe. Before he could say anything, someone spoke. Kushina! As she turned her head quickly to see Minato. As he got close, he saw. As his face morphed from worry to disbelief and shock, Minato ignored the red head, so it seemed like he already knew. As his gaze shifted towards her. What happened, he said. Madara, she said. As her hand gripped tightly onto Naruto's vest so she would not burst in tears. Minato's eyes snapped as his anger came out fully. He snarled as his fists clenched tight. I'll be right back, he says. He glanced over his shoulder as he vanished in a flash of yellow. Kushina then turned as she watched the other right-head crouch as he placed a hand on Naruto's chest. As I was saying before, Jiraiya Sensei said that I might want to come here to meet some people that I thought I no longer had. Judging from your hair, and as what Jiraiya Sensei has told me, you must be Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina blinked before nodded. Who is this? He asked. My brother, Naruto, she said. As the man looked down, can you lift up his torso? We need to get this sword out of him. As Kushina hand gripped Naruto's vest as she pulled him closer in a protective manner, as the man noticed that. I've came here searching for family. My name is Nagato Uzumaki, he said. As she was shocked. Don't worry, he said. I'm a medic. Meanwhile, Mikoto groaned as her Susanoo was failing down. She felt like her body had the power to handle it, but she wasn't sure if her body could keep up. As her right knee gave out on her as she stumbled to the ground, she heard laughter as Madara was laughing. As she looked up towards the man that glare, he was downright infuriating. I have to admit, you put up a better fight than I thought you would. But you are nowhere near my level, or Hoshirama for that matter. She reinforced her bad knee with chakra as she forcefully got back to her feet. Ready for more? Very well, let us. He phased out of existence quickly as the yellow blur passed where he was. As the blur came to a stop, Nagato, you need to go. Everyone is coming. I'll take care of this until they get here. She snapped towards him. Like hell, I'm going anywhere. This bastard killed my husband. But you're in no shape the minute had to flash away as Madara fan slammed into the earth where he was just standing. Now, children, said Madara. You shouldn't ignore your betters. That is very rude of you. Several kunais impacted the ground around him, and several flashes around him. Mikoto could barely follow, but Madara blocked some of the slashes with his fan, while phased out of existence for the other ones. He then swung its fan as it slammed right into Minato, as he winced in pain as he was thrown, crashing on the ground. Well, I have to admit that was a lucky hit. Now for a finisher. How about Amaterasu? She stalked her with her sword quickly as it absorbed the black flames. As her blade was made up purely of it, she snapped her gaze towards him as Minato looked up towards the sword that saved him. How do you know the Amaterasu? Madara shook his head in disbelief. The clan must have fallen farther than I thought. She glared at the man. Just how powerful was he? It was like there was no end of what he was capable of. As I was gonna say, the Sharingan's an amazing tool. When my brother died and I took his eyes, not only did I get my sight back, but I also got every technique that he used and learned. It's like these eyes have their own memory. Not only that, but the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan has the ability to copy and use the ability of any other Mangekyo Sharingan. Another thing is that there are several techniques that every Uchiha start with that you're automatically able to use when the situation arises with the Mangekyo, the least of which are the Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, and Susanoo. Didn't you ever wonder, he said, as the man smiled. As she saw the look on his face, it irritated her. She didn't like it one bit. She knew what the Tsukiyomi was because of Naruto. The tablet in the shrine mentioned that there was 5 techniques given to every Mangekyo wielder, but her eyes could not read the whole thing. There was a lot that Naruto had shared with her from the Itachi of his time, but because he didn't have the Sharingan, he could not show her. Several more people arrived to the battlefield as Madara's expression evened out, as Hiruzen landed right beside her as he started to look around the area. On her other side, both of the Hokage's old teammate and current advisors landed: Shamira Danzo, Sakumo Hatake, several envoys, and the 3 Sanins as well. Altogether, Madara was stuck right in the center, but to her shock, he did not look worried. He actually looked amused. What are you doing, Madara? We thought that you were dead, the Hokage shouted. As usual, the man chuckled, as if Hoshirama could truly finish me. Your age has long since passed. You should not be here anymore. Madara snorted at that. My age will never pass, not until I achieve the ultimate peace. Through power, I will become a god if I have to, and I'll be making you my first subject. First though, I need to take out the trash. As Mikoto heard several people shout out her name, as she didn't have time, as she was hit by a blunt object. She let out a cry as she heard her back slammed against something, as she heard a cracking sound, hoping that it was a tree. She heard a whisper in her mind, as her body grew numb and succumbed to the darkness. Meanwhile, so you don't know what it is, but I'm not supposed to go there. So what the hell am I supposed to do then? We don't know, sorry, but we're under the impression that it's not your time to move on yet. As Naruto rubbed his face with his hands, feeling rather incredulous about this entire situation. On one hand, he was upset to know that he was dead, leaving behind a vulnerable Mikoto, Itachi, and Konoha. Sure, he had made it stronger, but he was expecting to have a few more years before he had to deal with the threat that is Madara and the Akatsuki. On the other hand, it was nice to meet his reappearance for a change, even though he got over the feeling that he would never see them again. But now he was stuck in some limbo, unable to move on, but not able to get back either. Another question was about to leave his mouth, but his parents snapped their gaze towards the darkness, as Naruto turned his gaze as well. Do you feel that, Kushina? Said Minato, as Kushina nodded before she got up and grabbed Naruto into a quick hug. Mom? Said Naruto. She pulled back, tears in her eyes. It seems your time has come for you to return, she said, as Naruto turned confused. Are you sure? I don't see anything, he said. We're sure. I don't know how, but I can just feel it, said Minato, as his father extended one of his hands. As Naruto took it, Minato pulled him into a one-arm hug. I don't think it needs to be said, but we want you to know that we're incredibly proud of you. As Naruto felt his own eyes getting a bit moist as he stepped back. When you get back and kick Madara's ass, make sure you give me lots of grandbabies afterwards, okay? Said Kushina, as Naruto blinked at the question, before a small grin came on his face. How many? He said. 9 total, she said. The two of them shared a smile as Minato snorted and rolled his eyes. Almost immediately after, Naruto's body started to glow white. As he waved goodbye, so did they. The next thing he knew, everything went white. Meanwhile, Kushina watched as Nagato placed a hand on Naruto's chest after removing his sword. A green glow surrounded Naruto as Nagato sighed. As he looked tired, she then saw Naruto's hand twitch. Her eyes snapped towards him. What hit me? Tears started to fall immediately from her eyes, this time in happiness, then sadness. As her lips trembled, as Naruto's eyes snapped open. As Naruto moved and pulled her into a hug as she started to fall to his chest, as she cried, feeling horrible for the shot that he might have put her through. Not to mention his wife Mikoto, he started to take stock of what was going on around him. But he turned as he saw Nagato, said Naruto. As Nagato gave him a small smile. It would seem what Jiraiya-sensei told me was true. As Naruto realized what happened, you used the right tensei, didn't you, said Naruto. As Nagato was surprised, before nodded. Thanks, said Naruto. It's the least I could do for another Uzumaki. As Naruto blinked. All this time, Konan never told me his full name. Ear 1 too, said Naruto. As Nagato pointed his ear. Right, I'm an idiot, said Naruto. As he heard Kushina giggle in his chest, remembering that he was holding on to her. As she wiped away her tears. Don't you ever do that to me or anyone ever again, she said. I don't know if anyone can make that promise, but I promise to put my best foot forward, he said. She sighed. I guess that is all anyone can hope for. An explosion went off as they snapped their head to the gaze. Well, perhaps you should help them take care of Madara. Are you ready to fight with the Kyuubi? As Naruto helped her up as he turned towards Nagato. If you want to stay here out of the fight, I understand. As much as we could use your help, this isn't really our battle. Actually, the reason Madara is here now is mostly my fault. I will help you too. But I have to admit, I'm not as good as ninja as the both of my friends. My eyes just allow me to do different things. Wait, what do you mean you're responsible for Madara being here? As Nagato looked over, it was just under 2 years ago I think. He sent a messenger of sorts to bring me to his location. I was curious at first. When I went, he was an old man, and he claimed to be the one that gave me these eyes when I was younger. I didn't believe him at first, but he was able to tell me my entire family history. Supposedly, I was given these eyes when I was 3. He mentioned the right tensei to me, but wasn't surprised when I already knew the technique. He claimed if I resurrect him into a new body, after he died, he would help me attain what I'm longing for. As he lowered his head, so I did. I hadn't heard of him since I brought him back, but he claimed he had a few plans to put into motion. And then Jiraiya-sensei arrived. I was happy to see him, of course. It had been a while, until he started to explain what was going on. At first I didn't believe him until we were alone, and he started to confirm that you were from the future, and that you really knew what was going on, and that I still had blood family living here within Konoha. And well, now here I am, he said. I suggest that we get moving before he does too much damage. Meanwhile, Madara looked around. After dealing with the Uchiha clan head and Minato, the supposedly Fourth Hokage, the others are making things a bit difficult, but nothing that he couldn't handle. There was quite a few injured and dead bodies laying around, as he saw one of the clans from Water Country attempt to engage him, like they could stand against him, as he knocked them back. The ones that gave him the most trouble was the Kaguyas. It was truly sad that they moved to Konoha. He would have to wipe them out completely now, as the third Hokage was still standing. He had beaten down the Sanins. The white-tier one was being tended to by the medic, while the one with the pale skin was giving him a death stare. But it was not that frightening. Hiruzen, is this the best you and your village has to offer? We're stronger than you know, Madara. I have it on good authority that we're about to get stronger still. Spouting nonsense again. Will this be another Will of Fire speech from you? If so, spear me. Hiruzen said nothing as he folded his arms across his chest, and he smirked. As Madara narrowed his eyes, why was he getting so cocky? As someone appeared. He also saw Nagato and the red-haired girl. You just couldn't stay dead, could you, Naruto? As Naruto stood there with a golden aura around him. You missed me, Madara, said Naruto. Not really, but I was hoping that you were somehow able to come back. I was hoping that you'd be a better fight than most of the others around here, who are really starting to bore me. Where's my wife, said Naruto. Somewhere out there amongst the rest of the trash, as well as her new Hokage. Ah, Nagato, I wasn't expecting to see you so soon. You didn't leave me much of a choice when I found out what kind of peace you were talking about. Madara rolled his eyes. Yes. Let me guess, here comes another lecture. The same one I've been getting from everyone, about how it is not peace if they have no free will. To me it seemed that their free will is all for just killing each other. I thought you wanted that to be stopped. Nearly everyone I know does, but it would be pointless if we all don't know who we are anymore. Whatever, said Madara. Does this mean that you're gonna fight me too? As Nagato raised his hand, universal pull. As Madara stomped 1 foot forward as he felt himself being pulled. It was then that he finally opened his right eye. Several shocking seconds followed as Madara quickly glanced around, noticing that Naruto was the only one that did not seem surprised at the event. Was there nothing that could surprise the brat? As he focused back on Nagato, I gave you my original eyes. I thought you'd enjoy the present, not use them against me. There's no problem though, I know their every weakness anyway. I was afraid of this. Are the two of you ready? Yeah, came Kurama's gruff voice in his mind. Surprisingly, when Naruto revived, he found out that he could speak clearly to him through the seals. Apparently all that it took was forcing their chakra through Naruto's seal, something that they never tried before. Remember, we have only filled you with enough of my chakra to last about 5 minutes. I can support Kushina as long as she doesn't go around creating multi-shadow clones or menacing balls like we used to do. But if I have to free you chakra as well, I'm gonna be drained fast. Understood, Kushina said. As Naruto glanced towards Nagato. Nagato, what is it, he said. If you find an opening, take it. I think our best chance is for you to use your human path. You can use it as you are now, right? Yes, said Nagato. As he looked towards Naruto. Have you seen all what I can do, he said. Most of it, but at least this time you aren't using 6 bodies by having chakra rods sticking out of your back. There was a momentary pause. Oh, said Nagato, meanwhile. 1. Of many clones were looking through rubbles, as he was looking for the body. As a clone finally saw her as he moved, Mikoto was lying there, her back against a tree that had collapsed behind her. Her head was drooped down to her chest, her arms were spread to the side, like she was a puppet, and her strings were cut. The clone lifted her head as he felt for a pulse. As he breathed a sigh of relief as he felt one. Other than a few cuts and tears in her uniform, she didn't look that bad. Using the diagnostic technique that he learned a long time ago from Sakura, he checked over her. Besides a mild case of chakra depletion, he could not sense anything wrong with her. In his limited thought of consciousness, he wasn't sure what was the reason why she was unconscious. But there was one thing left to do. As he cupped her face, as he pressed his lips against hers, starting an information transfer by chakra, a process that only needs skin-to-skin contact. No one else was around or coherent enough to pay attention to what was going on. And she was Naruto's wife after all. After a few seconds, the clone poofed away. As Mikoto stirred, as her eyes slowly opened. Meanwhile, Madara grunted as he blocked a punch from the glowing girl. He had to duck under a swinging kick from Naruto. Unfortunate or fortunate for him, both eyes had a Rinnegan now. On the negative side, it kept him from using all of his Sharingan techniques, unless he wanted to part with more of his chakra than necessary. Worst of all was to know, since it used more chakra than any other Sharingan technique. And while its reserves were incredible, they were not limitless. He had no idea what kind of technique that Naruto and the girl was using right now, or how long would it last, so he would not go out expelling his chakra like that. The girl was a Uzumaki and she'd hold the Kyuubi inside of her, as he would try to suppress her ability, but Naruto also had this glow around him as well. And there was no way the both of them had the Kyuubi inside of them. The very thought was ludicrous. It made him wonder if they were using something he has never seen before and not the Kyuubi. So using the Rinnegan was the best thing that he can do right now. And not to mention they cancelled the effects of what Nagato could do against him. Such a disappointment. How was he supposed to know that the few Uzumakis across Elemental Nation kept in touch with each other? He had never seen any evidence of it before, not even when he visited Nagato a few years ago. He was forced to fight back even more as the Fourth Kage joined in the battle as well, as he had recovered enough from his battle fan, and now he was flashing in every time he saw a moment. As Madara knew that he could not keep this going forever, and he couldn't phase out of it either, that was a Sharingan technique, and with the Rinnegan activated, that would just exhaust his chakra. And he could not find the opening, they were too fast. To hell with it all. Almighty push! As he blew all 3 of them away, but he was not given a chance. As Harrison fired a massive ball of fire towards him, he reached out as the attack slammed right into him, as it disappeared. As Harrison raised the eyebrow in confusion, thanks to the recharge, here's a present of my own in return. Mohidan. Wooden vines erupted, running towards Harrison as he swung his staff, destroying them. As Madara had to duck as Naruto feet past him in an inch. He'd recover fast, damn it. He ran through hand sign once again. Massive branches came out as he started to cut off a part of the battlefield. As he was over here with these 3 alone, as he heard snapping wood, they were already breaking through. Rasengan! He turned to see the fort and the woman with a massive ball of chakra in between them. But the ball shrunk before it could absorb it, as Minato flashed behind him and threw 2 kunais Madara blocked one, but one of them stabbed him right in his thigh. As Madara slammed the fan right to Minato. The blow no sent sailing as Kushina infused her Rasengan with more chakra as she launched it towards Madara. Ignoring the pain of the kunai in his leg, he absorbed what he could from the technique, but she overextended a bit more with the attack than she expected, as Madara spun and kicked her in the back as she was launched away. Her golden cloak flickered as she crashed on the ground. As she tried to get back to her feet, that is when he noticed a screeching sound as he turned. As Naruto was no longer cloaked in the same golden cloak as he wondered, was it because of the woman? But his eyes were different, and it was hard to sense him. Fool, you know I can absorb any technique. Well, try this on for size, said Naruto. Rasen Shuriken! Madara was surprised that Naruto was able to throw the thing and keep it sustained. He extended his hand, but it expanded as he was shocked by the destruction that he saw in the technique as it was expanded wide. There was no way that he could absorb it all in time as he brought his fan around to absorb as he could and block what he cannot. Just in time as the outer edge of the Rasen Shuriken started to press into his fan. He grunted with effort as the Rasen Shuriken tore into his fan. As he used a pre path to absorb the technique from his side, he could not get it all as microscopic twin blades started to rip into him, causing him pain all over. After what felt like an eternity, he breathed deeply as he tried to ignore the pain all over his body. His chakra flow was still fine, so it was likely only superficial damage. Sadly, he would need a new battle fan. This one was smoking and holes were all over it. He shifted his hand as they hurt a lot, but he could still feel the chakra flowing inside of them, so they were all good. There was a rustling noise behind him as he tried to turn, but a heavy weight settled right on his leg. As he saw the Fourth Hokage was holding on to his leg, the kunai that stabbed him. Damn it. Of all goddamn things, he had to... His arm was grabbed as Madara tried to get out of Naruto's grip, but Naruto was strong. Incredibly so. Was it those pigments over his eyes? As he tried to move his other arm, but the woman grabbed it. He was pinned, but they could not hold him forever. Almighty. What the hell? The technique would stop as he felt something gripped him. Something chilling gripped him tight. As he looked down to see the large chakra construct that was piercing him right through the chest. How does it feel to have a blade in her chest, you monster? As he saw Mikoto Uchiha standing behind him, with one of her eyes closed, she was leaning forward and breathing heavily, as her ribcage and two arms of Susanoo was out. One was holding on to a blade that was going through him, while the other one was holding on to a... No, it couldn't be. This blade, he knew of it. It bound his body so he could not move. He could get free of it, but it would take all of his concentration. Nagato, your turn! While he was already chilled from having the blade thrust through him, a feeling of dread came as Nagato moved to his other side. As he saw others approaching as well, the gaping hole from their strength shuriken had torn through many of her branches. Well, Naruto, he said, it seems like you won this round. This round, said Naruto. I have no idea what you're talking about. I used to own this blade. I have no idea how you acquire it. But if I'm gonna be Seal, you should know. I can't get out of it. Time is all I need and I have plenty of it. I'll be back. As Naruto smiled, as Madara felt a feeling of dread. You technically died once, remember? That's how Madara brought you back in a new body. I'm sure you recall how the blade ended up with you. Of course. It passed on to me when the previous head died. As Madara's eyes widened as he realized. I see. I seem to have overlooked quite a lot in my conquests. Rest assured though, it won't happen again. You're right, it won't, said Naruto. You know how the sword of Totsuka work, as you said. It can seal anything that it wants to. That means if you only want to seal away your body, it will only seal away your body. As Madara's eyes went wide. It seems like you finally understand, said Naruto. Nagato will be taking your soul. As Madara was shocked, as the implications were finally setting in, as he realized what was about to happen to him, and he could not let that happen. No, he was not going to be going down like this. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was the Perfect Experiment over in Anime King 3, and enjoy that. And over in Anime King, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was an Alien Hybrid. And also guys, remember if you're new in this first time you hear my voice, remember to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And yes, I indeed have 3 channels, Making, Making 2, and Making 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all for helping and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you.